Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back with another one of the Unnamed Motorsport podcast, episode 28, I think now I want to say. Episode 27 or 28, Jamie, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just close down the tab to find out.
Oh, that's a terrible start.
That's a great start to the video, isn't it? From Big Up Matt 212.
Let's just go with it's 28, I think it is.
It is 28, yeah, we're doing alright so far. We're getting through. But, of course, we're back today, though, to review the Mexican Grand Prix. But before we get into that, exciting news in the world of Mr. 183.
Oh, I'm in a new house, yeah, I moved house, finally. My old house got turned into a children's home while we were living there, so we had to move out. That's not even a lie.
I'm very worried about what your hobbies are.
I mean, it's landlord's hobby, it's not mine. I don't know, I've not got a choice. So yeah, new background. There's no artwork up yet, but by next week there will be.
There'll be a shrine to Zhou, which we need to speak about later on in the podcast. But exciting news in my world as well. I'm officially now best mates with Callum Ilott. We're moved. We're going to get him on the podcast ready for next week. He'll be a regular host as well. But anything else exciting before we jump into it, Jamie?
I'm going to jump the gun. Zhou is going to Alfa, and it's amazing.
I deliberately put that as the last thing on our notes for tonight, but I guess we can talk about that first of all then, as you're so desperate to. Yeah, Zhou has basically been confirmed for Alfa Romeo. It's going to be announced next Tuesday after the Brazilian Grand Prix, apparently. But yeah, it's kind of disappointing, isn't it? Oscar Piastri's whooped him all year.
It's been about 8 weeks since last F2 race, so no one
It's insane, isn't it? Like, I know we've spoken. It must get mentioned more than
death.
Yeah, but it is insane this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember who tweeted it earlier on. They were like, "There's still 2 rounds of F2," and I was like, "God, there are as well." When's that happened?
But literally all the seats.
Or is there going to be?
What's the point?
Is there going to be 2 more rounds of F2? That is definitely something we're going to have to discuss.
Some more news
Later on in the podcast. But yeah, talking about the Mexican Grand Prix though, again, a bit like Turkey, a bit like COTA. It had a lot of anticipation, but what's that now? 3 races in a row where we thought something exciting might happen late on, and unfortunately it kind of just fizzled out.
I mean, COTA was good, I would argue. Like, Mexico and Turkey, I think, yeah, there wasn't much to get excited for because we sort of knew who was going to win from the very start.
Yeah.
That, I don't know. Whenever there's a uncertainty over who's winning, right until like the very end, it's a pretty good race, which in COTA we did have.
Yeah. But there was a pretty good battle this weekend for P2. And, of course, at Turkey, it was all about the Will Hamilton pit, will he not?
Yeah. Could have been
which was the thing, wasn't it? But, yeah, I mean, there's a few talking points to go through from the Mexican Grand Prix. So let's kick it off then with qualifying. We saw even more grid penalties before we headed into the weekend. Lance Stroll, Lando Norris, Yuki Tsunoda, and one more?
There was one other?
Stroll, did I say Stroll?
Yeah, I can't remember who else it was. Was it Ocon or Alonso? I think
Ocon might have done, yeah, because he went over the back of, he went over the front of Mick Schumacher at the start, didn't he? And there was no way he would have been behind him otherwise. Yeah, so grid penalties galore before we even got into the weekend, but to be honest, it's a bit like Monza, isn't it? You kind of expect that just because it is such a hard track on the engines. But
it's the end of the season as well, they might as well.
Exactly. But obviously we went into the weekend, we were both sort of very much in the mindset of it was just going to be the Verstappen show, wasn't it?
Yeah, Red Bull walkover.
But qualifying gave us a different story in the end.
I don't know what Red Bull did to mess qualifying up that badly, but yeah, for some reason they just didn't pull it out of the bag, and Mercedes did, and Bottas did especially. A very good lap.
Yeah, but I mean, both of Bottas's laps were good enough for pole, weren't they, in the end?
Yeah.
But yeah,
is surprising.
Yeah, it really was.
To be fair, since he's been sacked, he's actually been really good.
Exactly. Like everyone keeps saying, this is what Bottas can do with a multi-year contract. It's just whether it's with the right team or not.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we'll talk a bit more about Bottas has been really good. I think that's a bit brave.
On Saturday, he was good.
Yeah, he's Mr. Saturday. Perhaps they have swapped George and Bottas and none of us have realised.
They've just changed over helmets and no one's known.
Exactly. But yeah, so Mercedes ended up kind of out of nowhere taking pole position in the end. They have been struggling with pace all weekend, and then suddenly, Saturday rolls around and they're on the ball.
It was the first 1-2 of the season. First front row lockout, which is a bit incredible.
Was Portimao not? Was Max on the front row? Was he?
Oh, actually.
Because we said this at the time, and I was like, "You sure?"
No, Sky Sports said it was their first.
Because I was adamant it was a 1-2 for Mercedes.
Surely Max didn't split the Mercs.
No, he didn't. Bottas got pole, yeah.
Was Hamilton second then?
Yeah, Verstappen was 4 tenths
Sky
off.
Sports are wrong.
I was going to say, when you said that to me at the time, I was like, that's not right, I swear. Because there's no way Bottas would have jumped them both off the start.
Yeah, well, Sky Sports are wrong.
Sky Sports are often wrong.
Their second 1-2 in qualifying of the season.
Yes, the second 1-2 of the year. But of course, there was immediately some controversy, wasn't there? Poor Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, he's actually been performing quite well recently. He's got, I think, points 2 in a row before this. Q3, 3 in a row now.
AlphaTauri definitely seemed to have
stepped up a little bit, yeah.
I think it's more Tsunoda's started to step up a bit. So, although, don't get me wrong, Gaz is doing a phenomenal job this year, it does start to make you wonder how good that AlphaTauri actually is. Like, I don't think it's McLaren Ferrari levels, but I do think it's comfortably 5th fastest.
Yeah, over the season it has been, for sure. Bar a couple of races. But, yeah, it was quite a good performance from Tsunoda until Q3, where he was ahead of Perez and then Verstappen behind as well. Tsunoda just made a mistake in Sector 2. Perez, obviously, it's a very high-speed part of the track, very flowing corners, so if you make a mistake then, or get distracted at all, you're just going to be off the track, which is exactly what happened to Perez. And that basically screwed Verstappen as well, because obviously there might not be yellow flags, but even so, it's a big distraction with 2 cars just off the track. So, and Red Bull completely threw him under the bus, which is not the best idea.
I just want to stop you quickly as well.
He's arguably their most promising youngster at the minute, if you just have Verstappen. But
yeah, I just want to stop you for 1 second, quickly. Just so we get our facts right here. Tsunoda didn't make a mistake.
Really?
No, he was just told.
What was he doing?
He was just told Perez was getting close in the middle of Sector 2. Where else is he meant to go?
Yeah, that's Red Bull's fault for starting him too close. Red Bull twisted it
horrendously. First of all, they put Tsunoda too close to their own cars. Now, I get they don't get to decide that at the time, but you back your cars up a bit more. And second of all, Tsunoda was out the way. Perez just made a mistake.
Yeah, and screwed over his teammate.
So why on earth Christian Horner and Red Bull
it's easier to throw Tsunoda under the bus than Perez.
And this is the problem, isn't it? We've seen this time and time again with Red Bull culture, is you blame the young driver and think, well, he'll deal with that now. And it's because I'm very much firm. I've watched the onboards from Tsunoda. I'm very much firmly in the position of he did exactly nothing wrong there, and it was solely
there's no penalty or anything, so the stewards didn't think he did anything wrong.
Exactly. It very much was just he's an easy scapegoat to blame this for because we dropped the ball.
Yeah, and they did. They should have been in front row lockout quite easily, judging by Sunday's pace.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
It should never have been in question. Now, I think what annoyed me the most about it was the fact they said they got Tsunoda'd.
Yeah, which is not a good idea to do. Like we saw with, as funny as it was at the time when Vettel called Kvyat a torpedo, that just tainted his whole career from there on, really.
Yeah.
Which obviously Vettel had no intention to protect Kvyat because they're on different teams. But when it's one of your young drivers,
his replacement.
Yeah. So, but when it's one of your young drivers, you really shouldn't be throwing him under the bus and tainting him with an adjective that will now be used for a lot of his career whenever he makes a mistake, you'd imagine.
Exactly. And it's this whole thing, isn't it, of Tsunoda obviously a few weeks back rather oddly said he was surprised they gave him another chance. It gives you an insight into how Red Bull operates. We've spoke about this time and time again. It's a system that works for few, but it is a heavily flawed system in a lot of ways.
In terms of caring for other human beings, and yeah. But then they're a business and it gets world champions out of the system. So. And
this is the thing, isn't it? 8 of the current drivers have been Red Bull backed in the past. It's that horrible ground between they're the only team that throws massive amounts of money behind junior programs for their young drivers.
And they manage their junior programs stupidly well.
They get them through
other teams because you see Mercedes just don't give drivers chances. Your Verline, who else was there at Mercedes?
Ocon,
yeah. Even Russell's been stuck in Williams for what people would say was too long.
Yes, yeah. And that's another thing we need to
Yeah.
talk about right at the end of the podcast, isn't it? About George Russell this week. But, I mean, yeah, you look at Mercedes, Red Bull get their drivers through and then get rid. Mercedes get their drivers around
hesitant.
Formula 1 and then are hesitant. Alpine decide to hire a pensioner again.
And they hire about 15 young drivers with no seats for them.
Yep.
So,
And arguably the worst of the lot is Ferrari because they won't fund anything.
yeah, they've got a placeholder 27-year-old in their young driver seat.
They're a
Well, they've
team that had an
a lot of
operating budget, 500 million euros last year, and they they never fund junior programs for their
And
drivers.
they've got a pretty respectable they've got an academy which is okay. Like, people, it's not top, but like Callum Ilott would hold it his own on F1.
Yeah, and they've got their new star Brit Ferrari, don't they?
That's that. That was such an L. For that.
I'm gonna give
There
you
was
guys...
an article
Yeah.
by the race. Hopefully, Matt, if you can be bothered editing it, can flash it up on screen. But it said it was something like the 16-year-old Brit Ferrari have signed.
Yeah.
Or it was badly punctuated. It was no punctuation.
Ollie Caldwell?
It's Ollie
Beardman. Ollie Beardman.
The one that
sorry.
I said would drive for Williams in 2025.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
And this article title was like the 16-year-old Brit Ferrari, and I put it into our group chat and was like, "There's no way he's called
British.
Brit Ferrari."
Which I'm just there like, what let you even believe something that wasn't in like a made up program? Like, there's no way.
It sounds like a name. I bet there's someone in the world called Brit Ferrari.
There is no way anyone in the world is called Brit Ferrari. It did make me chuckle when I woke up in the morning. But, oh yeah, Brit Ferrari is going to be the new meme, I think, for the podcast. I'm going to be calling Ollie Beardman Brit Ferrari now for the rest of his
He
career.
needs to change his name.
Exactly. But, right, let's get in then to the Mexican Grand Prix. We've got Mercedes, front row lockout. A huge run down towards turn 1. I think we were all a little bit nervous, weren't we? It was squeaky bum time.
Yeah, very much so. And the 5 lights come on. I think... this obviously spoilers. It's Wednesday. Come on. But
Yeah, no
Verstappen
one's
obviously
watching
took the
this
lead.
that didn't watch the Grand Prix.
But Mercedes apparently had a plan.
The master plan.
For Bottas to pull across Hamilton, give him slipstream, and that immediately went wrong because Bottas messed his start up.
Why was that ever the plan anyway?
Only minimally, obviously, because the idea was on the clean side of the grid he'll get a better launch, therefore will be ahead of Hamilton to drag him along the first straight. Bottas didn't get a better launch, so they were side by side, obviously the front two, which allowed Verstappen to get quite a small slipstream, and then Bottas should not have moved to the middle of the track, which is what he did. And that allowed Verstappen to take the outside line, which was the cleanest line. Broke so much later. It's pretty incredible.
It was insane.
How much confidence he had on the brakes.
Like, I thought watching that he was going off. Yeah, he was just going to do the Alonso strat.
But fair play to him.
Yeah.
Got it slowed down. Took the lead into turn 1. I had a moment of excitement when I thought Hamilton was the one that got hit. And yeah, Bottas immediately spun round by Ricciardo, and he's last. So he's messed up everything inside one corner for Mercedes.
Yeah.
So it went from a 1-2 to a second and last. So yeah, not great.
Exactly.
Not great from Bottas after qualifying.
And this is what I couldn't understand. Like, genuinely, the last time we were here at Mexico, you got 2 slower cars in front of a faster car. Ferrari, we never use them as examples of a team that nailed something. They nailed the strategy in 2019. It was far too aggressive from Seb, but it got the job done off the start. If you've got a 1-2 at Mexico, surely your only plan is you box in the car behind.
Yeah.
You just don't give them anywhere to go.
Third place, and yeah, you're fine.
Because even if you get Perez down the inside, he's not going to be able to do anything in towards that first corner.
It's such a narrow line, yeah. If you've got 2 cars staying side by side, blocking most of the left-hand side of the track, the only option for a car trying to overtake would be to go stupidly narrow and have to brake early, in which case you're probably okay.
Exactly. It just, again, we've said it so many times this year from Bottas. I don't know if you saw it, Jamie. I put in our group, it's like he just started karting, like, at age 19. He never sort of learned that
basics.
racing. like spatial awareness. Like I think the worst example still this year is Baku, where he lost like 6 places because every single corner he was in the worst possible place he could be.
Had to brake early, and cars were just streaming past him. It was so bad.
And this is the problem as well with Bottas, and I know we've spoke about this before. No one is worried about sending it on him. No one.
No. Bottas tax is so widely known, and also he just refuses to overtake anyone.
Yeah.
We saw after Ricciardo took him out, which didn't get a penalty, which is a bit strange in my opinion. But
I can understand why they didn't penalise him. To be honest, if Bottas had them in there, I think he would have walloped Perez out of it.
Yeah.
He was going that late on the brakes and that bad an angle.
But then after Bottas was last behind Ricciardo, who also had to pit with a front wing, he was stuck behind Ricciardo for about 40 laps.
I don't think he ever pulled off a move, did he?
No. He overtook, once he pitted for the second time, he overtook some of the slower cars.
Yeah.
But he never overtook Ricciardo all race. And it's like the McLaren was not a particularly quick car this weekend.
No, exactly. And this was just what again has been so frustrating watching Bottas this year, because now
he's clearly got pace in the car. He just doesn't have to use it.
It just doesn't make sense at the end of the day. Like again, we race online and all this, that, and the other, and it's not the same as real life Formula One. We completely appreciate that, but there are certainly parts that can carry over, characteristics and things like that you can pick up from the game and sort of try and transfer to real life with some flexibility to it. And how Bottas can do a qualifying lap like that and then just have no confidence, no spatial awareness, no just adaptability is just beyond belief.
Give him a car on low fuel with the best tyres, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then any time you've got to do something any different or slightly difficult, he's just like, no, I'm not doing this.
He just has no instinct, and it's so frustrating, isn't it? Time and time again.
Yeah.
Because you just can't rely on him.
Because in terms of quali pace to Hamilton, obviously he's slightly worse than Rosberg, but not by a lot.
He's one of the... When you consider Hamilton is the greatest qualifier of all time, Bottas
isn't that bad.
a machine over one lap when he's getting it hooked up. But again, when it gets wet, when he's on heavy fuel, any pressure, he just can't deliver.
Yeah. It'll be annoying being a Bottas fan.
Yeah, but only all 6 of them are probably very upset with us right now. But yeah, talking about the Ricciardo, the fact that he could have, if he'd nailed it, gone from 7th to 2nd, arguably 1st by turn 1, is kind of insane.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely would have ended up in a crash if he went with the lead. But
I mean, if Mercedes had properly boxed in Verstappen.
Oh, yeah.
Ricciardo had the momentum, yeah.
Do you not remember 2016, I think it was? Hulkenberg started 7th and was 3rd by the exit of turn 3.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it?
Just because if the front 2 rows are messing around, boxing each other in, the people on the 3rd and 4th rows can just get the insanest slipstream.
But yeah, so, I mean, obviously we then had the safety car. Max just romps away after that. We kind of all knew that would happen.
I was worried on the restart that Hamilton was going to get a good run.
So was I.
Nailed it.
But again, it's very easy to nail. The problem is with Mexico is just the stadium section, unfortunately. Looks great, but if it was
great atmosphere.
If it was, I'm trying to think the best way to sort of visualize.
They said 90 left, like even a bit boring, but just don't box them in, don't slow them down so much.
What you want really is the first chicane at Russia in there. So the right-hander at Russia is the right-hander into the stadium, and then a quick flick back left, don't you? Through the middle.
Left. It'd be really quick through there as well.
Yeah. That would just make it
or even
so
just
much
make
better.
the end of the DRS zone before the stadium section, make that into more of a sharp hairpin so people can send it.
But it's not big enough straight to be able to do anything.
No, it's not really.
Exactly.
And obviously through the middle sector they've been stringed out by a second anyway because the cars are terrible.
I do genuinely wonder what... Mexico seems to be the track that is screwed because it's too high up that people can't overtake. We have so many issues as to why cars can't overtake in Formula 1. But you look at that track and think, that could be a brilliant circuit at sea level.
Yeah, if they could follow through the middle sector, because it's basically... Most of them are quite flat out now compared to 7 years ago or so.
Yeah.
6 years ago. It wasn't on the calendar 7 years ago. But it would be a good track if the cars could follow through that middle sector.
And
it's obviously the best track to win an online race at, which I've achieved and you haven't. So
have I not still? I've probably.
I beat you in season 12.
I know you beat me in season 12. Jamie, we're talking like 5 years ago, man. Yeah, it's just very odd, isn't it? Like, now we've gone down that rabbit hole, I really do wonder what Mexico would be like at sea level.
Do it on a PC modded game, whatever. Assetto Corsa or something.
F1 2021. I mean, overtakes are easier on the game anyway, but there's
really
no
take into account.
It doesn't at all.
Does it?
No, exactly. But, yeah, so, I mean, the next few laps, though, we slowly watched Giovinazzi go backwards after a world leaver start. Of course, going back to lap 1, Tsunoda and Ocon obviously got taken out. Mick Schumacher got sandwiched, didn't he? No, Ocon got sandwiched, sorry, yeah. Mick Schumacher and Tsunoda both.
But we don't really care.
No, it was all... Well, I was a bit sad for Tsunoda after everything that happened Saturday.
Oh, yeah, it would have been nice for him to come back and do really well. But
yeah. Stroll then almost murders Lando Norris, trying to... I don't even know what Stroll was doing. Oh, yeah.
When he went on turn 4, that was very strange.
Yeah, and then straight after that, Ricciardo goes for the worst overtake we've seen since Ricciardo last tried to overtake Bottas, and just completely rams Stroll off the road. But to be honest, after that, really not a lot else happened. We saw Hamilton...
Kimi made his way into... Russell fell back from
Russell fell back, but that was to be expected because Williams have just gone backwards again, as we kind of knew they would.
I think Alfa might beat them still.
No.
I mean, why not? Kimi's been doing well recently.
What, overall?
Yeah, in the championship.
You honestly believe Alfa Romeo...
It's like 10 points.
It's not 10 points. Let me get the points up quickly. There's no way is it 10 points, otherwise I might be with you there.
It is 12 points.
I don't believe they can claw
Last time in Brazil, Alfa scored 22 points. It could happen. And I remember mid-season summer break, before Williams got a lucky podium, I said that Alfa would beat Williams, and
we all thought Alfa should beat Williams. They should have beat Williams. It's Alfa Romeo could still recently be right there.
They've beaten Aston Martin and they've been close to Alpine recently as well.
Well, this is what I wanted to talk about as well quickly. We've sort of said about AlphaTauri doing really well, looking now like they should be comfortably 5th fastest. Really, Alfa Romeo should be battling Aston and Alpine most weeks.
And I think they are in the race.
Yeah, exactly. They're not really a back markers anymore.
They both got through to Q2. Yeah, they got through both cars to Q2 last week. Yeah. Raikkonen was 12, I think.
Yeah, and they've had a good car a lot of races this year.
Yeah.
This is what I think a lot of people forget.
Is insane.
They've had a lot of 11th places. They've thrown away a lot of points as well. Really, they should be tied with Williams already and looking just to finish it out, getting more points. Because...
So, how many races have there been this season? 18?
18.
They've had 7 11th places.
Yeah. They threw away points. They threw away points at Turkey.
Yep.
They threw away points at Monza. Giovinazzi probably could have scored. His pace was good.
Should have scored in Zandvoort.
Zandvoort as well. They've had a quick enough car on a lot of occasions this year, but they've just thrown it away.
Spun by Perez as well.
Yep. They've had the 8th fastest car this year.
Where Williams have like stuff like Hungary.
Yeah.
Where they bottled it with Kimi releasing him to Mazepin as well. He should have got at least even ahead of the Williams there, and they got 7th, 8th. So
Alfa Romeo have had a car most weeks
at least 8th.
At least 8th, but has been close enough where it's plausible that they should be able to beat Aston and Alpine. Really, when I look at the point standings, they should probably be on, what, about 30 odd, I reckon?
Yeah. And they're 11 for context. Yeah. Like 12 behind Williams on 23.
They're closer to Haas than they are to Williams.
With the points they have.
Yeah, but they deserve it.
Yeah, they've been especially that little period where Russell kept getting points. They've been very good in that time.
Yeah, it's just very, very odd, isn't it, from them? But
they've got a chance of beating Williams, I would say.
Yes, yeah, no, I think it's not out of the possibility because they've obviously brought a couple of upgrades more recently.
Kimi's had 2 8th places in the last 4 races.
Yeah, he's doing good still.
Doing well.
Doing good. But yeah, so we see Hamilton pit lap 30, immediately comes out and gets stuck behind Charles Leclerc before Charles Leclerc pits the end of the lap. Max then pits lap 34. At that point, Red Bull already know they've got it in the bag. Yeah. It's nothing to worry about. Perez then pits lap 40. And really, this was the only thing that kept the Grand Prix interesting throughout the second half, wasn't it?
Perez closing down Hamilton.
Really fast.
It was quite fast. Like some laps in clear air, it's like 1.2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is crazy pace differential. But then when he got back to the back of him, obviously, dirty air happens. He had a bit of a go with like 10 laps to go to the end.
Yeah.
Got very close, and then had to back off and save the battery, I'd imagine. And the tyres and temps and everything. And then had another go right at the end. We've seen it quite a few times where they have one like attack a bit further earlier on and then wait until everything's fully charged again and then go for it on the very last lap. But he went for a fake send into turn 4, which would have been ridiculous if he tried it.
Yeah, but that's
I
just you try it, don't you? You always would in that situation. Bottas then had a bit of a nightmare.
I want to raise something on the Perez-Hamilton thing as well. So, obviously, when Hamilton pit, it was like Perez was only 1.2 or something behind him.
Yeah.
Hamilton then gets stuck behind Leclerc through the middle sector. Do you think if Perez had pit the very next lap, he would have overcut?
No.
Because surely he was going faster than Leclerc.
Not by much, though.
They should have just pit him. Obviously, it kind of screws you if it doesn't get out at Hamilton.
Yeah. The thing was, Red Bull knew how good their pace was. Perez is obviously incredibly good on the tyres as well. That whole thing was, what's the point in risking coming out right behind him and being stuck behind him, rather than having a car that could be a second a lap faster later on?
Though in hindsight, obviously, strategy's easy in hindsight, but had they pit the lap after and done like a perfect stop, they could have been out ahead of him.
I'm not convinced they would have been. It would have been close.
Yeah.
But I think the gap had opened up slightly by the time they pit, didn't they? But yeah, so Bottas then obviously trying to go for fastest lap. First of all, Max absolutely destroys him and just slows down, which everyone is like, he's such a champion. I'm thinking, I've league raced more than 2 minutes, I do that.
That's the most obvious thing to do.
Yeah, like, if Red Bull would have just told him, back off.
And then he obviously was right behind Bottas, so he gets blue flags and can't do an attempt.
Yep.
And then they did the old qualifying tactic where you hold him in the box on the second attempt for fastest lap.
Yeah, well, what they did there was they got George Russell to tow him into turn 1. Which I
gave
thought was
him
quite
like
funny.
at least 6 tenths or so, which nearly beat Verstappen by 7 or 8 tenths.
Yeah.
On much softer tyres.
Yeah.
So, it would have been so funny if they tried twice and didn't get it, but unfortunately they did.
Yes, yeah, they did get it second time round, didn't they? But yeah, so Max Verstappen then rather unsurprisingly came through for the win. I think I got the top 3 right.
You did, but it was very predictable.
It was very predictable, but it's one of the only times we've got the top 3 right this year, so I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, Perez came through P3. Gasly had a quiet day, but a brilliant P4.
Very good day. Beat the Ferraris by 10 seconds or so at the end.
He was comfortable, but he was a lap ahead of Sainz at the end.
Well,
because only 5 cars finished on the lead lap, which is kind of alarming.
Well, it's a short lap in it, and the Red Bull was very, very good.
Yeah.
There's only 4 cars at Zandvoort, so.
Yes, that's also true. But yeah, I mean, we got to see as well Sergio Perez's dad, the world's happiest man.
Yeah. I remember back in the day, Felipe Massa's dad always used to be buzzing about anything. So, there's something about South American... No, Mexico's North America.
You're being sarcastic, aren't you?
What? Do you remember that time when it just cut to a deadpan after it got overtaken?
It was every time.
Yeah. I don't know why. They'd always just cut to Massa's dad. You really did get this...
Yeah, like, Felipe's dad was just there like...
I am dead inside.
Exactly, like, you just don't... Like, it just didn't make sense, did it? Like, you got your son there driving a Ferrari, you get VIP every week, you travel around the world because you're living your dream through your kid, and you can't even slap on a smile.
They always cut to him just after Massa got overtaken. So...
Yeah, because towards the end, Massa was only getting overtaken.
Yeah.
The only time he showed any emotion was when Massa didn't win the title. Yeah. And even then, he still was just getting harassed by Ferrari mechanics. He didn't seem particularly ecstatic himself. Did he headbutt that wall or did he punch it?
No, it was the Ferrari mechanic headbutted the wall.
I always thought he punched it.
Nah. He knocked the Scuderia Ferrari sign off it.
I know he did that, yeah. It's an iconic scene. But yeah.
Scherzinger is just going mental.
Exactly. Good times. And it worries me, Jamie, that was 13 years ago.
Yeah, I remember that happening.
That is one of my earliest proper memories of Formula 1. And it worries me. Like, it's things I think about. I can't remember where I was going. I think I was in bed a couple of nights ago, and I suddenly thought, like, people won't remember a time where, like, McLaren were battling for race wins. I mean, hopefully soon they will again.
Monza 2021, that wasn't long ago.
Yeah, that's also
Russia
true.
2021.
But it's just all those little things, like 7 drivers win races in a row.
Like a lot of the new fans that I speak to at uni are just completely unaware that Williams used to be good. It's like...
Kimi Räikkönen was a machine back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had the same video show up on your recommended this week of him putting out a huge lead at Monaco.
And then his engine blew up. Do you remember...
Wrong season, I think.
Oh, sorry, the wrong one.
Was it?
There was a
don't
video.
Tell me you
really
did. I didn't watch the end of it.
This is really off topic. There was... Do you remember the F1000 at China last year?
Kimi did win. Did he?
Two
yeah, Kimi won Monaco, sorry.
Where they were showing the drivers, like, iconic F1 moments.
Yeah, and Kimi talking about Imola.
One of them was Imola 06, about this huge Schumacher versus Alonso battle and how amazing it was. And Kimi was like, "Oh, I was on pole that day and my engine blew up."
Yeah, it was just so wholesome from Kimi, wasn't it?
Yeah. And Giovinazzi was like, "What, seriously?"
Yeah, because Kimi was pulling away from both of them.
Kimi in 06
yeah.
didn't win a race, but he was leading most of them, it felt like.
Did he not win a race in 06?
No, McLaren didn't win a race in 06 at all.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that was something I didn't know.
It was just Schumacher, Alonso, Fisichella, Massa and Button.
Wow, that has surprised me, I'll be honest. But yeah, anyway, back to reality then. This all stemmed from me talking about Checo's dad being happy. Obviously, we've already discussed about Guan Yu Zhou to Alfa Romeo. Kevin Magnussen has come in the news this week.
What's he done?
Did you not hear this?
I haven't seen this.
Have you not seen this?
I don't think so.
So, KMag confirmed this week he was offered a Williams seat for 2021.
For this? So he was at Haas, yeah. I wonder who for.
George.
What was George going to do?
Well, this is what no one knows. Now, I've kind of...
Maybe it was like a backup plan if they did end up getting...
This is sort of what I've wondered, because the way Magnussen worded it was they were planning on getting rid of George. Obviously, they needed Latifi for the money. They were planning on getting rid of George, and Magnussen was going to have his seat. Now, the only things I could come up with for this to make sense was either George was going to get put in Aston Martin if Seb didn't want to go there.
That was sorted pretty early, though.
That was sorted... Stroll wanted it to happen pretty early. It wasn't confirmed. It was confirmed at Mugello, remember?
At Mugello, yeah. Yeah. Which had a Ferrari, didn't it?
Which was pretty late on in the year.
Yeah, it was August, September time, wasn't it?
Because obviously we had all this stuff about Toto and Lawrence Stroll doing their insider trading, didn't we?
At Silverstone, yeah.
So I wonder if there were talks there.
I wonder why they would have gone Magnussen, though.
Or...
I mean, obviously, I'd have picked Hulkenberg, obviously, but that's just me.
Or, on the other hand, I wonder how legitimate that claim is from KMag. I'm going to be real.
KMag's, he could be becoming one of those drivers like Jacques Villeneuve or Nico Rosberg who just chat a lot of rubbish to stay relevant.
Yeah. So. I love the fact you've put Rosberg in that group.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed very strange. Worryingly believable from Williams, but... Or, again,
I mean, there was a lot of talk, actually, of Russell losing his seat in mid-season.
Yeah.
I did a banging tweet about that as well. That's how I remember it.
Well, this was still what I was wondering early on, or the end of last year, of course, because where Hamilton didn't get signed officially till, what was it?
Yeah.
January in the end, wasn't it? Yeah, it was January. Whether they were deciding whether, obviously, if Hamilton would go, they put George in with Bottas, or if Hamilton wouldn't go, Bottas would be out the door by the end of the year, which, of course, is what's happened now. But, just
they were
very,
always
very
saying
strange.
they had to get a soft landing for Bottas, which would have been somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, very, very strange from KMag. I'm surprised you didn't see that this week, I'll be honest.
No, I was a bit busy at the weekend, so I was away for the... Might have been why.
Yeah. But last but not least, then, we spoke about Formula 2 having 2 more races to go. Will it have 2 more races to go? Saudi Arabia...
I haven't seen a lot about the Saudi.
Well, there's not a lot to see still at the moment.
Yeah.
This is the problem. It's not ready. It's 4
I'd imagine
weeks
one
away.
of these things, so it will be fine.
I think it's going to be like the first Korean Grand Prix, if you remember that.
They were painting the lines on Friday morning.
Painting the lines Friday morning. It's literally concrete blocks around the track and nothing else there.
Yeah.
But I can't see. I know someone tweeted out today, and this gave me like immense pain. We leave Qatar. Verstappen's got a 27-point lead over Hamilton.
I was thinking about this.
Saudi gets cancelled.
If it gets cancelled, he just wins the title.
Yeah,
that'd be so
how
bad.
Dead
That's
kind
of why I think they will go ahead with it, regardless what state it's in. Just
Either
because
that
they've
or
been
they
building
go
up for this. They've been building up for so long, this title fight, and it would be such a damp squib if it just was decided by a race getting cancelled. That would be so bad.
It would be horrendous, wouldn't it?
But then, if Verstappen does win Brazil, we've got 3 races left, and it's a race win gap, so he can finish second.
He's what I like to call in complete control of his own destiny.
He's in Rosberg territory.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
right.
I'm fairly confident, but I didn't say that out loud.
See, I really don't know. The thing is, Brazil's not a great track for Hamilton either. He's always said it's a bogey track for him. It took him till 2016 to win a race there.
It's a very Verstappen track as well.
It's a Verstappen track. It's a Red Bull track.
Quite high altitude. Nowhere near as high as Mexico.
Nothing like Mexico, but Austria is the only other track at comparable, and Max dominated both of those.
Yeah. Gasly got a 1-2 there last time.
Yeah.
Don't know why that's relevant.
That's also true, I suppose. Yeah, now you've said that to me, I'm really worried. I'm going to be honest.
Do you see after the in-lap, when Hamilton pulled up in the second spot, he looked so dejected.
Yeah.
And it was almost like how he looked after Malaysia 16.
Yeah.
Where like he almost knows, obviously he's going to put a confident look out to the media and everything.
Yeah.
But he sort of knows in himself that it's unlikely.
Hamilton is... I think a lot of people don't like to admit this because they like to moan about him a lot. I'd argue Hamilton is probably one of the cleverest in terms of realistic drivers in the sport. But
and that's why back in 18, when he had that problem in Germany qualifying.
Yeah, he tried to push
so
the car
down after that.
Yeah,
because he at that point in the season, I believed it. I think most people did that. Ferrari had the faster car.
Ferrari did have the faster car.
Here's another race where he's going to be difficult to score points or difficult to score decent points.
Because Seb was quite far ahead of him at that point, wasn't he? Well, not quite far, but he had a big enough cushion.
Like a 20, like a 50-point swing almost, really, wasn't it?
In
Hamilton
the
was going to finish like third, fourth, and Seb was going to win. So I don't know. Hamilton, his body language was quite negative, which is completely understandable because it's a very annoying place to be in after a full year of racing, quite near the end of his career.
I think the thing is, though, like, there's still the part of me that believes Hamilton has to have that comeback year where he comes from behind.
Yeah, because he's not really won a
He's never had a title like that.
Yeah, and he's bottled a few as well, to be fair to him.
Well...
07, he was leading quite comfortably. Obviously, his rookie year and stuff.
07 still doesn't sit right with me. And the thing is, what everyone remembers as well is China. No one remembers Brazil, where the gearbox seized up on him and then just didn't again.
It's payback for Spygate. That.
It's always been the talk, hasn't it? The McLaren did it so they wouldn't
imagine
get
that in today's money, where like today's points, Raikkonen was 17 points back with 20 left to play for. That's like winning
42.
A title from 40 points back. Yeah,
it's insane. It's insane. Again, I don't want to get into sort of like the conspiracy theories with all that, but that gearbox was odd, to say the least.
But then it wouldn't have mattered had he not bottled it at China.
Again, the team should have brought him in earlier.
Still, don't drive into the gravel trap. That's
what else can he do in that? You've seen those
slow
tyres.
Slow down more.
You've seen those tyres, though, Jamie.
Or box before it gets that bad. Yeah, there's plenty of options.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then he obviously 16, he could have won if he hadn't botched every start known to man.
Or he hadn't had the engine failure.
But you can blame the engine failure like you can blame the gearbox, but he still didn't perform very well that year.
It was not a good year for him, and that's the thing as well. Or, we're not going to put blame either way here, Spain had
he not taken out Rosberg.
Had Rosberg not taken him out, if he'd won that Grand Prix, he would have won the world title as well.
Well, you could say ifs and buts, because Rosberg would have played the last 4 races differently had he not to finish second every week. So...
Rosberg didn't have it in him towards the end of the year. Don't you forget that.
No, but by the time he won Japan, he was 35 points clear. It's like, that's it, I'm just going to finish second now.
Yeah.
If he had to still fight, he would have still fought.
He wouldn't have had it in him. He wouldn't have had it in him.
Nah, we represent Rosberg here.
But yeah, it's Hamilton just needs that one like from behind year, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I think it would complete Max's story arc as well when he does eventually win world championships.
You're just all here for the drama.
I'm here for the Marvel series.
The Verstappen documentary in 2040.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just that that hope from me that the thing is, what I think is for me is the fact that I completely know Verstappen is going to get plenty more chances at world championships.
Yeah.
If Mercedes,
we don't know if Hamilton will get another one.
If Mercedes don't deliver next year,
even if they do, Russell could be a genuine challenge.
I'm not convinced he would be straight away.
People have said that about Hamilton Alonso.
Yeah, and this is why I'm not convinced George will be with Hamilton. Because we know just how once of a generational talent Hamilton's been.
Yeah.
Obviously, if Mercedes can't give him a car that's capable of winning races next year...
It will be capable of winning races. You just don't
You'd
know.
hope.
Compared to Red Bull, yeah.
You look at Red Bull in 2014, no one expected them to take nearly 10 years to be able to fight for world championships again.
Yeah.
It can happen to anyone.
It can happen, yeah.
And
we'll even look at Ferrari. It's been, 14? So.
But Ferrari have had a couple there where they could have won,
they've had,
and arguably should have. Red Bull haven't really had a year where the car's competitive enough. Even as a Mercedes fan,
yeah,
I can. Or not even necessarily Mercedes fan, a Hamilton fan.
Someone with knowledge.
Yeah, like Red Bull have not had a championship capable car until this year.
And to be fair to Red Bull, if they do win this championship and the constructors do the double, you look at the last decade and a bit, bar maybe 09, every time they've had a car capable of winning a championship, they've won the championship.
Yeah, a couple of them they've been
very
lucky.
Good. 2012 they shouldn't have won the drivers, really.
Yeah,
Alonso deserved that one.
Yeah,
and arguably
2010 they should have dominated that. A lot of people like to go on about Seb's fairy tale only led after the final race. Red Bull had an OP car that year.
They did.
That should have been wrapped up with 2-3 races to go.
Poles.
Seb and Mark were arguably the two worst drivers that year of the four that battled for the title. The fact Hamilton and Alonso were able to stay there.
Hamilton and Alonso were quality that year.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And I think, again, that a lot of people like to forget about that. But
anyway, what are we talking about? I don't
Brazil.
Yes.
Top 3 predictions then, Jamie.
Max. Surprisingly.
You saying it, are you? You saying it?
Lewis.
Right.
And Perez on a good run. I'll go with Perez. Boring as.
Okay.
Perez have got 3 podiums in a row. Make it 4.
Fair enough. I've got it. I've got to go the other way. You know I have to. I'm sorry. No, Jamie.
Who's going to win?
What we forgot quickly. Silverstone, if you remember, crash between Lewis and Max.
I do remember. Funny enough, I was there.
You were, yes.
So unfortunately, I do remember what you're talking about. Yes.
Silverstone, a crash between Lewis and Max. Italy, a crash between Lewis and Max.
Oh yeah, the sprint race. Surely Max is sensible enough to not be in a crash again.
Really? I thought that at Monza.
Unless he's going to take them both out, that's probably a good thing at this point. But if he's at risk of DNFing, because that's the last thing he needs. If it's a normal end to the season, he will win the title.
I'm going to say it, Jamie. I'm going to say it. Top 3.
Leclerc wins.
Nope. Hamilton, Perez, Bottas, top 3.
Wow, you're really wishing this into.
I am praying beyond belief. I think we're going to see.
Podium again.
I think we're going to see drama this weekend. I see fireworks.
It'd be really cool if they both crash in a sprint race. That would make it amazing.
No.
That would be so fun. Do you not think if they both started from the back?
Now you've said it potentially, but I think fireworks this weekend. I can see them down into turn 1.
Neither backing out.
Neither winning to back out. Because the thing is, what we've got to remember is Hamilton has got nothing to lose at this point. He knows that.
Well, but he kind of has to win. Because if he DNFs at this point, it's sort of over.
But he hasn't got a car quick enough. You'd say Brazil should be a Max track, a Red Bull track.
Mercedes think the next 3 are their tracks, though, after Brazil.
But they should be after Brazil, but that's irrelevant if Red Bull's a Max track.
I mean, it's not relevant, because if they get a 1-2, it's still in there.
Yeah, but you can't rely on Bottas to do that. Max will send it on in turn 1, lap 1. It's just pointless.
I don't know. I'm feeling very happy and confident after that race, but
and
we'll see. There's a long way to go.
Hamilton has got exactly nothing to lose because you'd hope now, especially after Monza, Max will have had a sit down and thought, you know what?
Be a bit more calculated, maybe.
Yeah, I've got to be.
They're saying
a bit
that
more
Monza still worked out in his favour, really.
Yeah, arguably.
Because he was going to lose points to Hamilton. He came out not losing points to Hamilton. So,
yeah.
From that sense, it worked out for him. It just needs to make sure they're both out.
But the thing is, again, Hamilton had a car advantage that weekend. Yeah. Max should have a car advantage this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless we see Bottas and Max collide.
Oh, imagine. I would fume so bad.
It depends how they do it, doesn't it?
Well, if it's like Hungary again, I would be fuming.
Yeah, that won't be good. I can just see Bottas down the inside. Toto's literally told him, if you don't stay ahead of him turn 1, lap 1,
Russell's in
you're out the door. Yeah.
Or whatever track's next. I don't even know.
Bottas locks up. He goes for a Montoya special, but butchers it because he's Bottas.
That overtake that everyone goes on about on Schumacher, by the way,
it's
awful. Such a terrible overtake.
It's horrendous.
It's so bad.
Everyone loves it because it's young Juan Pablo Montoya.
To be fair,
second
it's
Grand
very
Prix.
audacious and confident, but it's just not a good overtake.
It's an awful It's a league racing overtake, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's horrendous. But yeah, so you're going Max, Hamilton, Perez. I'm going Hamilton, Perez, Bottas. I'm predicting fireworks.
I think Leclerc could be a shout for podium this weekend.
I was going to put Leclerc there.
If I was a betting man.
Yeah, I think McLaren are good round here as well.
Sainz got a podium from last time they raced there.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll wait and see. But
who's winning the sprint?
Oh,
3 points. 3 points closer to the title.
Who wins the sprint? I don't know. Hamilton. I reckon Bottas will get egged.
Okay.
I'm living on a prayer, man. Honestly, I'm living on a hope and a prayer at this stage of the year. But anything else to add before we round out, then, Jamie? Somehow we've managed to stretch 50 minutes of the Mexican Grand Prix.
It's been a good podcast. I don't think anyone's still listening. Zhou is going to beat Valtteri Bottas next season. You heard it here first.
He's just not. I hope
he's not.
Bottas better engage like 14.0 mode or something, man. Honestly.
I'm very happy.
I think a lot of people...
I'm
yeah.
Next week going to wear some Alfa Romeo merch.
I think if Bottas can work out how to overtake cars, people are going to realise... Because again, we sort of saw this between 14 and 16, didn't we, at Williams?
Yeah.
He was a good driver.
He was very consistent. He was always finishing like top 6.
I think, didn't he have the record for like the most podiums in a season for a team that didn't finish like 1 and 2 in the championship or something? Or for like a driver that finished lower than 5th? Or something odd like that I read somewhere.
He got an awful lot of podiums, but then they were 3rd in the championship that year.
Yeah, I can't remember what the stat was exactly.
That's a very
It was
stat,
something along the lines of, you got like the most podiums for a team or for a driver that finished below a certain position, I want to say. But yeah, I might have it actually on my facts document. Let me see. I probably don't know I've said that.
Yeah, you've bigged up this stat for no reason.
I have now, haven't I? Do I have it here? No, I don't. I'm afraid.
Well, that's an unfortunate end to the podcast.
Yes, but thank you all so much for watching nonetheless.
We'll be joined by Callum Ilott next week.
Yep, Callum Ilott will be replacing Jamie for next week as my new best friend. But yeah, we'll be back next week ready to, of course, review the Brazilian Grand Prix. Let us know your thoughts and feelings as we head into Interlagos, as well as obviously your thoughts and feelings from Mexico. But thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time for podcast 29, Jamie. Would you believe it?